Hello everyone, my name is Katie Homer, and today we're back with another installment of eye tracking. Let's go ahead and start those engines up. We're again in the FMX flight simulator using the Pupil Core eye tracker. The goal of today is to go ahead and show you guys some videos of turns. Turns have very interesting eye tracking movements. I'm also going to go ahead and show you guys my very first time landing an airplane. So let's go ahead and start out with a 60-degree turn to the right here. And so we check out our surroundings, we begin the turn. Now you have to look at a lot of things during these turns. You have to look at the rate of turn here up at the top. You have to look at the altitude, which you will notice is dropping suddenly. I am dropping. I look over at the altitude and I'm like, oh no, gotta pull that up. But then you also have to look at the heading because you have to pull out in time, which is at the bottom. And you really should be looking at velocity. I don't look at that too much because I'm too busy trying not to drop precipitously. But anyways, that was our first turn, and it was pretty good eye tracking movement. You really can tell what I'm looking at generally. Let's go ahead and look at another one. In this next turn, we are going to be going the other direction, and the eye tracker is calibrated differently. You can tell it's a bit skewed. It's like an inch or two up. So when I'm looking at the altitude and the rate of turn, it looks like I'm looking above them, which is a little bit distracting. But you can still see the general area of what I'm looking at. And then we go ahead and pull out of it. I wasn't looking at the heading very much, so I actually overshot in this one, and now that I'm looking at it, you can see the altitude is way messed up. Now that I start fixing that, leveling out. So it's quite obvious, especially as I am a newbie pilot, that when I don't look at one instrument, that instrument tends to go out of whack. You really have to pay attention to everything at the same time to make sure that you're flying safely and securely. Now, I believe we're going to turn the other direction. Yeah. See how this one goes. Go ahead and holding altitude well. I'm looking at the rate of turn, but the altitude is still going good. Altitude is now decreasing. I look over and notice it, try and pull up a little bit. I'm looking at the heading as well as the rate of turn. Try deciding it's time to pull out. And then I just keep on flattening out. And I have to actually increase in altitude because I dropped a couple hundred feet during that turn just from, not doing it well. So in this next clip, I'm actually going to show you guys some of the worst footage from this session. And it's bad in a number of ways. First of all, the camera angle is not ideal. You can tell it's definitely more difficult to see the instruments in this case. That's very easily fixable. You simply have to adjust the camera, but you can't tell until you look at the footage. Another issue is confidence. If you look up to the top left-hand corner, you can see how confident the machine and the system is in telling what my eyeballs are looking at. Specifically, my eyeball on the right, the camera's having a very difficult time consistently staying on my pupil. This is mostly because I'm glancing downwards, and my eyelashes, I believe, are getting into the way. It'll be interesting to see if different people's head geometries produce different angles, which are more conducive to eye tracking or not. Now, the point we've all been waiting for. Let's go ahead and see my very first airplane landing. Now, I don't crash everyone, but that is probably one of the few good things I can say about it. Pilot-induced oscillations, anyone? But no worries, look at how fun this is. And we start out with a turn, actually, turning into it because I am over 1,000 feet up. So this is definitely one of the first cool things I learned, because if I had been doing this without Professor Bond's guidance, I honestly might have just tried to drop like 1,500 feet really fast and then just pull out of it, which, in hindsight, wouldn't have worked at all. But, you don't know what you're doing, so just like, I see the landing, I'm gonna go down there. But this turn is brilliant. I never would have thought of, it makes total sense to turn around and drop altitude. But I don't know, I guess I just wouldn't have thought of it. You get to go see the sun. Plus, it's cool to look around, see all this outside area. This is one of the first few times I feel like I'm flying like an actual pilot would, where I'm looking outside as well. Because you have a goal, you have something that you're looking at. You can see I have located the landing. I am at a much more acceptable height to attempt to land now. So we'll go ahead and check it out. This is where the oscillations really begin. It's definitely not ideal to oscillate this much, but it's really overshoot. Like, I'm not pulling out early enough, so definitely what I can take away from this is, small, smooth touches, because it's like, oh, I should have pulled out a couple degrees ago, but I'm pulling out now that I've overshot, and so, oh well, another thing to work on. Let's see here. Getting it all lined up. I can see the path. And here we go. Yes! Landing. That's it. That's a touchdown. And we didn't even die. I mean, it's not a real plane, but heck. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. My very first landing. Thank you for joining with me. Until next time, I hope you all have a great week.